Welcome to the Ad Expert Podcast. So imagine taking $5,000 in cash, right?
Oh, I'm picturing it.
You put it in a metal bucket and you just throw it directly into a fire pit, like every single month.
Yeah, just bleeding cash.
Exactly. And the crazy part is, if you look at the raw data, that is essentially what a massive percentage of local businesses are doing with their paid advertising budgets.
It really is.
And the worst part is, they usually have no idea they're even doing it. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the actual mechanics of how local businesses can scale their paid traffic.
Right, how to generate those high-intent leads.
Exactly, and completely stop this, this hemorrhage of ad spend.
Because the financial stakes of these mismanaged campaigns are just staggering when you really look under the hood.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources we're analyzing today come from Ad Expert, which is an online marketing and web development agency based out of Los Angeles.
Right.
And they've spent over a decade, really reverse engineering local lead generation.
Over 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. And the specific methodologies we're looking at today, they're spearheaded by their founders. So you have Sam Ashafi, who builds the core marketing strategies, and Ehsan Nabavadi, who's their lead on SEO and professional analytics.
And their geographic focus actually provides a really interesting lens for this, too.
Oh, for sure.
Because, they're headquartered in Woodland Hills, right?
Yeah.
But their primary service area blankets this massive, hyper-competitive chunk of the LA market.
Yeah, the San Fernando Valley and beyond.
Right. Places like Calabasas, Winnetka, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks, West Hills, Reseda, Burbank, and Van Nuys.
It's a tough market.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
If you can scale a local service business in that specific market where the cost per click is notoriously high and the competition is just endless, you can scale anywhere.
You really can.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core problem so many of you face is that disconnect between your ad spend and your actual revenue.
Yes, the phantom clicks.
Right. You fund the campaigns, the dashboard says, hey, people are clicking, but the phone isn't ringing with actual paying customers.
And that disconnect, it almost always traces back to an obsession with traffic over infrastructure.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, most business owners, they want to skip straight to running ads because, that feels like action.
It feels like you're doing something.
Exactly. But before you allocate a single dollar to a new campaign, you have to run a ruthless, comprehensive digital marketing audit.
Right.
You cannot scale a system if you have no baseline data on how that system currently processes a lead.
Because running paid traffic into an unaudited marketing funnel is basically like pouring water into a leaky bucket.
That's the perfect analogy.
Right. Like, you wouldn't build a house on a cracked foundation. You might be paying $10 a click to get someone to your site. But if your lead capture form is broken on mobile devices...
Which happens all the time.
All the time. Or, if your phone number isn't clickable, 40% of that water just immediately leaks out.
Right onto the floor.
Yeah. You are paying a premium to acquire the traffic, but your infrastructure is actively preventing them from converting.
And if you think about the mechanics of that leak, an audit isn't just a casual glance at a Google Analytics dashboard to see how many visitors you had last Tuesday.
Right. It's not just checking a box.
Exactly. A proper audit, at least the way the sources outline it, it involves mapping the entire user journey.
Okay, so what does that look like practically?
It means you're checking your conversion API, you're evaluating your baseline goals, and identifying if your tracking pixels are even firing correctly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it means looking critically at your SEO performance, your email open rates, and the actual engagement metrics of your content marketing. You're using tools like Google Search Console and CRM software to determine your true cost per acquisition.
And the sources actually highlight that Ad Expert pushes this beyond just, a static one-time spreadsheet review.
Yeah, they go much deeper.
They combine a client's historical data with really rigorous competitor analysis. But then they layer on real-time marketing insights.
Which is huge.
Right. So they are effectively watching the data behavior live across all these channels.
And what's fascinating here is how real-time tracking fundamentally changes the risk profile of paid advertising.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, traditional marketing often forces you to look in the rearview mirror.
Right, yeah, you see what happened a month ago.
Exactly. You launch a campaign, you wait 4 weeks, and then you realize you just burned thousands of dollars bidding on some broad match keyword that brought in terrible leads.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
It is. But by integrating live tracking and AI for personalized customer targeting and, advanced analytics, you get predictive visibility.
So the AI is actually watching it happen.
Yes. The AI monitors those behavioral clusters as they happen. It flags anomalies immediately.
So you could actually fix it?
Exactly. It allows you to optimize campaigns on the fly, basically shutting off that leaky valve before the bucket drains.
Okay, so let's say we've patched the bucket. The audit is done, the tracking is tight, and we know our baseline metrics.
We're ready for water.
But, I mean, catching the water doesn't matter much if the water is contaminated by a terrible user experience.
Right.
Which brings us to what happens. The literal millisecond a potential lead actually clicks that ad.
The destination.
Exactly.
Because driving high-quality traffic is mathematically useless if visitors arrive at a confusing destination and just experience, like, massive cognitive friction.
Yeah, they just leave.
Right. The landing page is the sole arena where a passive click is either abandoned or it's converted into a tangible asset for your business.
Okay, I have to push back on this a bit, though.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we're talking to an audience of fairly savvy professionals. Doesn't everyone know they need a quote-unquote good website by now?
You would think so?
Right. Like, we are way past the era of those old digital brochures. Is a dedicated landing page really that fundamentally different from just driving ad traffic to a really well-designed homepage?
Oh, absolutely. The difference in conversion rates between a home page and a hyper-focused landing page is astronomical.
Okay. Astronomical.
Yeah, because a general website, I mean, even a beautiful one, it's structurally bloated.
How so?
Well, it has to serve multiple masters, right? It
Yeah.
tells your brand story, it lists career opportunities, it links to your blog. It probably has drop-down menus for like 20 different sub-services.
Oh, that's too much.
Exactly. Every single link on a homepage is an invitation for the user to wander off and forget why they clicked your ad in the first place.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But a landing page reduces that cognitive friction to near zero. It's an isolated, fast environment that's designed for one specific user, coming from one specific ad with one single call to action.
So you're basically stripping away the paradox of choice.
100%.
Instead of saying, hey, here's our entire company, browse around, you're saying, you clicked an ad for emergency roof repair. Here is the button to get an emergency roofer right now.
Yes. And the architecture of that page, it has to be deliberate.
What are the key elements?
We're talking about ruthless simplicity in the navigation, flawless mobile optimization, because, local search is overwhelmingly a mobile behavior now.
Oh, for sure. Everyone's on their phones.
Exactly. You need verified customer reviews placed high up on the page to manufacture instant trust, undeniable service offers, and contact forms that require the absolute minimum number of keystrokes.
Make it as easy as possible.
Right. And AdExpert's specific role here, they deploy precise, data-driven SEO copywriting.
Wait, on a landing page?
Yeah,
No,
because the copy doesn't just need to persuade the human reading it. It actually has to satisfy Google's latest algorithm requirements using semantic keywords and high search phrases to reinforce the relevance of the page.
which leads to a concept that completely slips the script on how most people view ad auction.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Right. Because the assumption is always that Google and Meta, they just want you to spend more money, and whoever has the deepest pockets wins the top ad slot.
That's the myth, yeah.
But the sources reveal that building these faster, hyper-relevant landing pages actually lowers your cost per click. The platform algorithms actively reward you for better user experience.
Yeah, and if you consider the underlying mechanism of Google's business model, it makes perfect sense. Their product is trust.
Trust in the search results.
Exactly. If a user searches for a service, clicks an ad, and immediately hits the back button because the page was slow or just irrelevant, that user loses a tiny bit of trust in Google.
Right. They blame Google for giving them a bad link.
Yep. And Google tracks that metric relentlessly. It's called a bounce rate. If your landing page causes high bounce rates, Google determines that your ad is a poor result.
So they penalize you.
Heavily.
They force you to bid significantly higher just to maintain visibility because you are degrading their user experience.
But the inverse is where the scale actually happens. If your landing page loads in, say, under 2 seconds, perfectly matches the search intent of the ad, and users stay on the page to engage with your contact forms.
Which is what you want.
Right. Google identifies that as a highly successful interaction, so they reward you with a high-quality score.
And that affects the price.
Massively. In Google's ad auction formula, Your ad rank is determined by your max bid multiplied by your quality score.
Oh, wow.
So a competitor might bid $10 a click with a terrible landing page, while you bid $5 a click with a flawless landing page. You win the top spot, and you literally pay half the price.
That is the leverage you need in a competitive market like Los Angeles. I mean, your infrastructure is actually subsidizing your ad spend at that point.
Exactly.
So assuming we have this ruthless, perfectly optimized landing page ready to capture leads, we have to look at the fuel. Like, how do we actually drive the target audience to it?
Right, the traffic engines.
Let's dissect the two major ones, Google Ads and Facebook Ads.
They absolutely dominate the landscape. But treating them as interchangeable is a massive strategic error.
Because they're totally different platforms.
Entirely. They function on completely different psychological paradigms. Google Ads is defined almost entirely by the concept of high intent.
Because the user is typing a very specific problem into a search bar. They are raising their hand and saying, look, I have this issue right now.
Exactly. When a homeowner in Encino searches water heater leaking fix today, they're not casually browsing content.
No, they're panicking.
They are in distress. The demand already exists, and they are actively seeking the supply. So for a local service business, intercepting that high-intent traffic is the most direct path to revenue.
How do you practically execute that, though?
Well, the tactical execution relies heavily on structure. The sources point out that campaigns must be tightly segmented by specific service and micro-location.
So very granular.
Very. You utilize local keywords, exact match phrasing, and ad extensions. Like call extensions are huge.
Oh, where the number just pops up.
Right. So that a mobile user can literally tap your ad and call your dispatch directly from the search engine results page without even visiting your website.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the contrast with Facebook ads is just stark.
Night and day.
My analogy for this is, Google Ads is like paying to be the absolute only emergency plumber listed in the directory exactly when a pipe bursts in someone's home. You pay a high premium per click because the intent to buy is virtually guaranteed.
Right.
But Facebook ads, on the other hand, is like walking into a crowded neighborhood block party and handing out highly personalized flyers. They didn't go to the party looking for a plumber, but your flyer might remind them they need to clear their drains before winter. You kind of have to manufacture the demand.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The mechanism on Meta platforms, so Facebook and Instagram, is advanced targeting based on latent demand.
Latent demand.
Yeah. You're interrupting a passive browsing experience. But you aren't just handing flyers out randomly. The days of targeting broad demographics like homeowners in Los Angeles, those are over.
It's too expensive now.
Way too expensive. The true power of Facebook lies in granular data matching. You're moving away from broad audiences to target based on exact locations, very specific interest, and crucially, past customer actions.
Wait, if I'm running a highly specialized local service, like say I install custom security gates in Calabasas.
Okay, good example.
Why do I want to spend my budget interrupting people who are just looking at photos of their friends' vacations? If the intent isn't there, aren't I just annoying them and wasting my ad impressions?
Well, you would be if you were targeting cold traffic with a hard sell.
Oh.
But the strategy shifts completely when you use Facebook for mid-funnel and bottom-funnel engagement. The primary utility here is retargeting.
Walk me through that.
Okay, imagine a user clicks your Google ad for security gates. They view your landing page, they see the pricing, but they get distracted and leave without calling.
The dog barked or the doorbell rang.
Exactly. The intent was there, but the conversion window closed. 2 days later, while they're casually browsing Facebook, they see a high-quality video ad from your business showcasing a time-lapse installation of a gate in their exact neighborhood, paired with a limited time seasonal offer.
Oh, that's brilliant. You're capturing the intent on Google and then nurturing the hesitation on Facebook.
Exactly.
You stay top of mind until they are actually ready to pull the trigger.
And to scale that even further, you feed your existing customer data back into Facebook's algorithm to generate lookalike audiences.
I've heard of this. How does it work?
You upload a list of your best, highest paying clients. Facebook analyzes those profiles, cross-references them against thousands of behavioral data points like what they read, how long they watch specific videos, their purchasing habits.
Wow.
And it finds a new audience in your service area who exhibit the exact same digital behaviors as your best customers.
You are basically telling the machine learning, hey, here's what my ideal customer looks like under a microscope. Go find me 10,000 more of them.
That's exactly it. It creates a holistic net.
You use search engines to capture the immediate demand and social platforms to nurture the consideration phase and find those invisible prospects.
But, and this is important, the sources emphasize a critical warning here.
What's that?
Achieving profitability on Google and Facebook does not mean the work is done. Relying exclusively on one or two ad platforms is a massive vulnerability in modern digital marketing.
Because the algorithms are just so volatile.
They change constantly.
I mean, we've seen that play out time and time again. Like when a platform pushes an update, like those iOS privacy changes a few years ago.
Oh, that was rough.
Overnight, businesses that relied solely on Facebook saw their cost per lead quadruple. Their entire lead generation pipeline just evaporated because they had zero diversification.
Exactly. Building a multi-channel ecosystem is just mandatory for risk mitigation and continuous growth.
So what does that ecosystem actually look like?
Well, the methodology outlined by AdExpert relies on layering search engine marketing, so Google Ads, with brighter social media campaigns, dedicated email marketing sequences, and comprehensive retargeting across the wider web.
So you're everywhere.
Right. You build multiple pillars of traffic so that when one platform experiences algorithmic turbulence or, CPC inflation, the other pillars keep your revenue stable.
And maintaining those pillars requires really aggressive continuous testing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the phrase, set it and forget it, is basically a death sentence for a paid media budget. The landscape shifts daily. You have to monitor audience performance, track your website traffic obsessively, and critically evaluate the actual quality of the leads.
Yes, lead quality is huge.
I mean, it doesn't matter if your cost per lead drops by 50% if none of those new leads actually convert into paying jobs, right?
Exactly. The tactical execution of this involves relentless A/B testing.
Testing tactics and tools.
Right. You run two variations of a Facebook ad headline against each other to a small audience segment. The data proves which one has a higher click-through rate.
And then what?
You kill the loser, scale the winner, and immediately test a new variable against it. You test landing page button colors, ad copy, video hooks. It's just a continuous scientific cycle of refinement combined with awesome reporting.
Which brings up a very practical problem.
Okay.
So what does this all mean for the business owner? How do you, the listener, avoid just completely drowning in all this data from a dozen different platforms?
And it's a lot to manage.
Because if I am running, say, a commercial HVAC company in Burbank, I am managing technicians. I'm dealing with supply chain delays. I'm handling customer disputes. Between Google Analytics, Meta Ads Manager, CRM attribution, and A/B test results, it sounds like you need a data science degree just to figure out what your marketing is doing.
And you're completely right. The sheer volume of raw data generated by a multi-channel campaign, it's basically impossible for a human to parse manually in any time-efficient way.
You can't just look at spreadsheets all night.
No, you cannot spend your evenings cross-referencing CSV files to figure out if an ad is profitable. And this is exactly why centralized live tracking, AI data analysis, and expert support transition from just being buzzwords into operational necessities.
So we are using AI not just to write the ads, but to act as this high-speed analytical engine.
Precisely. AI excels at pattern recognition across massive data sets. The software can instantly detect that, say, a specific demographic segment in West Hills is engaging with your retargeting video at double the normal rate, but only on Thursday evenings.
Wow, that's specific.
It flags that microtrend,
Oh.
and then expert support teams, like the strategists at AdExpert, they interpret that signal, keep open communication channels, and instantly reallocate budget to capitalize on the anomaly.
So it translates millions of rows of overwhelming data into just a single actionable directive, like increase a bit on this specific ad for this specific zip code right now.
Exactly. It turns overwhelming data into clear, actionable steps for long-term growth.
It is really about extracting the signal from the noise. You are turning raw metrics into a strategic compass. Okay, let's take a breath and quickly synthesize the tactical blueprint we have explored today.
Sounds good.
If you want to scale your local paid traffic and stop wasting your budget, you do not start by throwing money at a platform.
Never. You start with the infrastructure.
Right. You execute a strict audit to identify your true metrics and patch the leaks in your funnel. Then, you obsess over the destination. You build lightning-fast, highly focused landing pages that strip away cognitive friction.
Which in turn lowers your cost per click because the platforms reward the flawless user experience.
Exactly. From there, you deploy the dual traffic engines, you capture high-intent searches on Google when a problem occurs, and you utilize advanced behavioral targeting on Facebook to nurture leads and build lookalike profiles.
And you insulate the entire system by diversifying into a multi-channel ecosystem, right? Relying on real-time data, continuous A/B testing, and AI analysis to adapt to algorithmic shifts before they drain your budget.
And as we consider how heavily this methodology relies on AI for real-time optimization, it leads to a pretty fascinating thought regarding the future of local commerce.
Oh, definitely.
Because if the current state of AI can analyze behavioral clusters to accurately predict when a user is likely to respond to a retargeting ad based on their past actions, consider the logical extreme of that capability.
Where does it go next?
Right. What happens when the dataset grows even larger? What if the future of scaling a local business isn't just about targeting the right zip code when someone shows intent? What if the next evolution is predictive AI, cross-referencing weather data, local housing age, and neighborhood purchase histories to know exactly which block of houses will need emergency plumbing or roof repair before the homeowners even type the problem into a search bar?
You move from fulfilling demand to predicting the crisis entirely. The definition of high intent fundamentally changes when the algorithm knows the pipe is going to burst before the homeowner does.
It is a wild yet entirely plausible trajectory to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I highly encourage you to take a hard look at your own ad spend, scrutinize your landing page load times, and ask yourself a hard question. Is your marketing building a scalable engine, or are you just throwing cash into a fire pit? We will catch you on the next one.